going to have Anna Tauzin. She is going to be speaking on new restaurant technology, what's moving and shaking on the tech side. And she is the Senior Marketing Manager with the National Restaurant Association Innovation and Entrepreneurial Services. So please give her a warm round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you good? No, not yet. We're going to get louder, a little louder. Okay, I think we're ready. All right, so yes, I am Anna Tauzin. There's nowhere to put this. From the National Restaurant Association. I'm based in Washington, D.C. As you know, with the NRA, we have 2 locations, one in D.C. and one in Chicago. So I'm in the D.C. office. But I do a lot of traveling around and talk to restaurant groups as well as technology companies around innovation in the restaurant space. I am particularly fascinated by the conversations that take place between restaurants and technologists. I think we need to have more of that in order to see newer technology that actually solves problems for restaurants come about. And I'll talk a little bit later about how I do that. I've been with the NRA for almost 5 years now, and I started out as a front-end coder. So I did like front-end coding just like a lot of programmers do, and then kind of moved into this unknown space around innovation in restaurants to try and help them, to try and move the needle forward. And we actually have several programs in place right now to do exactly that. So the NRA is not just complacently sitting around asking people to innovate. We are going to try and solve the problem and move things forward. So I do that through relationship building with startups. I also have really good relationships with a lot of the tech giants in Silicon Valley, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, everybody. They all want to talk to restaurants. So if you want to do that too, we can talk and like kind of make that happen. So today, I'm really excited that the Washington Restaurant Association asked me to be here. I'm actually speaking twice. Today about new restaurant technology and what the NRA is doing about it. And then tomorrow with Doug Hunter, who's sitting back there from Plant Cafe. So be sure to join us tomorrow as well. I think that starts at 10:30 a.m., the first one of the day. But we're going to have a conversation tomorrow about sort of how to implement these things. I wanted to, this is our little agenda. I'm going to kind of speed through a lot of things, but if you want more explanation, please stop me. I'm happy to take questions throughout the presentation. I know Roxanne's got a microphone over there, but if you just yell really loud, I think we'll be okay. So first of all, I'm sure most of you understand this, but this is what I talk about when I say the restaurant industry. All meals and snacks prepared away from home, including takeout meals and beverages, so just to level set. And this is what we refer to as our industry mosaic. So full service, clubs, retail, self-operated services, military, quick service, snack and beverage. It's a pretty, as everyone knows, it's a pretty big industry. There is no one size fits all when it comes to technology in restaurants, but we're trying to identify trends and best practices that might influence everybody. So before I dive into too much of what tech I've been seeing lately, I wanted to kind of let you guys know about some forecasting and researching that we do at the NRA. If you haven't received your 2016 forecast yet, download that. It just came out in March, February, March, and it's got all the research that you need kind of looking forward into 2016. It's a publication we put out every year, and it's available at discount for members of the Restaurant Association, national and state. So to start out, I mean, we know that the statistics on smartphone and tablet ownership and usage are really high. Basically, the crux of this is we are all more connected than ever. Through a little computer device in our pockets, we can pretty much do whatever we want. And consumers want to stay connected to restaurants through this technology. We've identified that consumers want to be able to communicate to restaurants. They want it to just work as well. So there's this expectation that there aren't hiccups between consumers and restaurants via technology. Before going to a restaurant, here's some statistics on what people do when it comes to involving restaurant technology. Obviously, they're looking at locations and directions. They're looking at menus. They're reviewing reviews from apps like Yelp and TripAdvisor. Obviously, I won't dig too much into that. Everyone knows how I feel about that. And then ordering and takeout directly from a restaurant's website or branded app as well. I will talk a little bit about on-demand delivery and the companies involved there a little later, but they are looking to do this. And then they're also using rewards and special deals. Oh, and one thing that I wanted to mention, that first statistic on looking up restaurant locations and directions, in talking with Google recently, they told me that if you use Google Maps and search like coffee near me or restaurants near me, searches like that are on the rise for consumers. So if your restaurant or business is not using the Google My Business tools, you're missing out on a lot of traffic that's coming that way. I mean, I just this morning foolishly searched coffee near me in Seattle when all I have to do is like look outside and there's like 15 Starbucks. But I did, and so I found it. But it's actually a rising trend that people are using maps to search for locations near them. Here's some more percentages about making reservations, looking up nutrition information. So last year, Google started pulling in nutrition information to its native searches. So if you search, for example, Hooters hot wings nutrition, it'll come up immediately without having to go to a separate restaurant website. So they're using that, they partner with nutritionics to pull that information into their native searches. So they're using, they want to look up nutrition information now too. Paying for your meal, I'll get into that in a second. That's another like super focus area for me. And then ordering takeout through an aggregate like Seamless or Grubhub or any of these other on-demand services as well. I pulled this stat, God, it's so ugly, I'm so sorry. But it's from our latest forecast, and it talks about mobile payment gaining acceptance. Mobile payment is a huge focus for me. I want to see restaurants using it more. It's way more secure. Tokenization and encryption is included in most mobile payment transactions, and so we want restaurants to do this more. Last year, October 1st, there was a liability shift to EMV, acceptance and chip cards. There's a lot going on in that area. That's not what this talk is about, so I won't dig into it too much, but if you want to talk about it afterward, I'm happy to tell you my opinion about those things. But bottom line, I would switch to mobile payment faster than you're switching to EMV because it's more secure. Okay, so this is interesting. Just a few more statistics. Limited service operators who plan on making additional efforts to expand their off-premise side of their business in 2016. Quick service, you see that's 48%, 59% for fast casual. And this off-premise stuff includes on-demand, curbside pickup, catering, that sort of thing. There's this really interesting concept in Virginia called the Urban Farmhouse, and it's a fast casual farm-to-table concept run by a lady named Kathleen Richardson. And she recently started getting into catering, and now she's booked like several weddings, because if you think about it, the farm-to-table movement is huge. Everyone who's getting married right now, including me, wants farm-to-table like restaurant food as well. Well, they offer it at a fraction of the price that a full-service restaurant does, or even a full-service caterer. So if you're operating a fast casual restaurant, you should definitely add catering to your services. Okay, some more stuff. Oh, I didn't know that moved. That was kind of cool. Restaurant industry sales is up to a little bit, in 2016. Same with table service restaurants, and then the statistic for limited service restaurants as well. I can give you this later too if you want. So much like tech across all industries, restaurant tech is very consumer driven. I'm not seeing restaurant tours in the back of house saying, oh, I wonder what sort of technology I should have in here. No, it's all consumer driven. It's all about the guests and making them happier. So to that end, let's take a look at where consumers are spending their money. This is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Obviously, housing is still a big issue, transportation, and then the next one is food. And when it comes to food, that means grocery stores and restaurants. But much like most people in my generation, the millennial generation, we're not buying houses, we're not settling down, we're going out to eat all the time. And that will continue. Like, we want to spend money on experiences, like going out to eat, versus something that's probably going to better our future selves. But it's nice. Here's some more information around guests being game for technology. So free Wi-Fi is kind of expected at this point. When I go to a restaurant and they don't have Wi-Fi, or the Wi-Fi is password protected and I have to ask the server for it, it's like the worst thing ever. I just want it to work. I just want to connect to Wi-Fi because I need to tell all of my friends that I'm at this restaurant, and I don't want to use my cell phone data to do that because then my fiance yells at me for using all our data. So Wi-Fi would be great to have. That said, setting up Wi-Fi in your restaurant is not as easy as it sounds. It's actually somewhat complicated, and you want to be really safe and secure about it. So another thing that we're doing at the NRA is really focusing on cybersecurity as a huge focus for our industry. So if you go to restaurant.org/cybersecurity, you can learn a lot more about what we're doing there. But if you're interested in setting up Wi-Fi, there are some resources that I know about, happy to share it with you. as well as how to get some ROI on Wi-Fi. Because if you're just offering free Wi-Fi and it's open and anyone can access it, well, sorry, I almost cursed. I'm going to do that later, sorry. But shit, like, you need to find out who's there. Like, you want to know who these people are. So ask them to, like, you know, include it after you connect to Wi-Fi. Make sure there's a loading screen so you get people connected to your Facebook account or your Twitter account or your Instagram, or they sign up for your newsletter or something else. Even if it's an option, you're going to see 20% of people still making that extra step because they think they have to, which is great. Tableside payments, terminals or devices. Ziosk and Elacart are the big players in this area. Ziosk is sort of the bigger one. Elacart is a little bit smaller, but Elacart was the first one to offer EMV-capable terminals at tableside devices. Ziosk is now offering that, but they're going to have to go back and redistribute all these tabletop devices. One interesting thing about the tableside devices, I've been talking to a lot of restaurateurs as well as Ziosk and Elacart. They're actually building ad networks to go on these tableside devices. So you could sell ad space on your tableside devices within your restaurant to people that you have like-minded with, okay? So say you're like a sports bar, you could sell placement to NASCAR on these devices because you have a captive audience and that is worth something. So think about that as you're developing this. So some other things that people are interested into, they want to order kiosk at fast food restaurants. We've seen that for a while now, not just QSRs, but also fast casual restaurants, like you see it at Wow Bao and Panera Bread and things like that too. Ordering at a tablet, that's fine. I'm not really into that, but a lot of people are, but it's fine. And then this is like major key alert. Okay, so 0.25% of people are factoring in technology options when they choose the restaurants that they're going to. I will choose a restaurant that has free Wi-Fi over one that doesn't, no matter what. Like, because if I have to do some work or if I need to correspond with some people, like, I need to know that I can get there and it feels right to me. Now, if I'm going out to like a fine dining event, I don't really care so much about that. I'm probably not gonna have my phone out. And here's some more statistics about consumers who agree with the following statements. So we asked them, does technology increase convenience? Yes. Does it speed up service? Yes. Does it increase order accuracy? Yes. Like, this is not a surprise. And then the availability, again, this is like major, I don't know if any of you guys follow DJ Khaled on Snapchat, but major key alert, like, ability of technology makes you choose one restaurant over another, and that trend will continue. So you see that age group, 18 to 34, I just clicked something, at 40%, you know, it's going to continue, and 43% for Generation X right above us, that will continue throughout. So just expect that to be something. And then this I think is interesting. I left this in on pent-up demand for restaurants. People still want to eat out more. There was a statistic, I think I took it out of this presentation, but 90% of people like going to restaurants and only 67% like going to grocery stores. It's true. Like, I would rather go to a restaurant than a grocery store. I don't know what's wrong with those other 10% though. Like, why? Come on. Anyway, so pent-up demand. So yeah, people want to eat out more. They're waiting for more restaurants to kind of fit their budget and their lifestyle. This is fascinating too. Percentage of people who would buy fresh, uncooked food from restaurants. Again, keeping them away from the grocery stores and getting them to come into the restaurants. On average, a consumer visits 4 grocery stores in their area. If you think about your own grocery habits, you probably do. Like, there's Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, but then you've got like your H-E-B or Safeway. I don't know what's up here. I don't know. Safeway? Okay. And then like one other maybe specialty health food store or something. But you can get them away from going to that 4th one if they can come and pick up restaurant quality food that they can make at home. So I live in DC, and we have this great restaurant that offers uncooked pizzas that you just go in and pick up and you bake it at home, which is awesome because then I get restaurant quality food in my house that I can, you know, I don't even have to think about it. So this is just something to think about. This I thought was really fascinating. We haven't seen restaurants really do this. In fact, there was an app that was selling restaurant reservations and restaurant table spots before, and we like crushed them because that's terrible, but they're really interested in this. So 45% of adults would like to pick the exact table at where they're going to sit when they get a reservation. So I think Marriott now, it's certain hotels of theirs, you can choose like what room you get. So I would like a corner room with 2 windows versus 1 room with like 1 window or something like that. And you can choose it. It doesn't matter to the hotel. You just are basically giving your consumers access to things that they're going to look at anyway when they check in. So this is an interesting statistic to think that people want to choose exactly what table they're going to sit at. And then you get to capture that data, so you learn what table is most exciting, where they like to sit. I don't know, I thought that was cool. And then 14% of adults would pay a fee such as $10 to get a better table. I would totally do that. Last night I went out with my fiance's parents, because they live here in Seattle, and they gave us a shit table, and I was like, no, this is like too important of a dinner. Like, I want to make sure we're near a window and it's quiet, and like I don't want to hear other people yelling, and there were children around. I didn't want that either. So I would have totally paid extra, but I just complained, and they were very nice to move us around. Okay, so this is on limited service restaurants, people who are likely to use delivery to their home if it's offered by a limited service restaurant. So, no surprise there. Women want it more than men. Okay, this is not actually going to happen, but I left this in. Consumers who say they would be likely to use drone delivery of restaurant food if available. So I just chatted with some of my friends who worked for the Google Wing project, which is basically doing this. They're basically using drones for delivery. It is a long time off. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but it's really freaking cool to think about. Because I would love to see like little pizza guys like running through like the streets and stuff like that. But it won't happen for a long time, but it's kind of fun. Okay, so now let's get into sort of the marketplace of technology and what I've been seeing out there. Some of this I'm going to need some help on, by the way. It is an ongoing discussion on what we're going to do about it. So the first one, sensors and transparency. A lot of people who want to eat out have food allergies. We know that. Restaurants have been really good about responding to that. They're trying to diversify their menu. You can go and buy, I think I saw like, I just walked straight through and I saw like 20 things that are gluten-free. So restaurants are really trying to bring products in that are gluten-free. But people that have serious food allergies, not just like the celiac wannabes, which I find weird. Like, why do you want to pretend that you have celiac disease? But okay. The people that have a serious food allergy, they want to eat out more. Parents of children who have food allergies, they want to eat out more, but they don't know what to do. Who do you trust? Do you trust the restaurant? Well, the people who created the sensor on the left here, called the NIMA sensor, N-I-M-A, by 6 Sensor Labs, they went out to a lot of restaurants. I think they did 100 restaurants. 20% of the time that they ordered gluten-free, it came back as positive for gluten. So that's what these little sensors do, is they test for food allergies. They've done gluten, peanut, dairy, but there are more coming. I mean, there are a lot of allergies out there that people have, and it's fairly serious. Now, again, it's not for your casual celiac. The test costs $4 every time you want to do it. Most people aren't going to pay $4 for something they're just kind of casually into. But this is the question, like, most of the people that are using these devices, and I've talked to the scientists behind them, they don't want that gotcha moment for restaurants. They don't want to be assholes. They just want people to be safe when they go out to eat. And so they want to create a database of restaurants who have tested food that is approved by them. I mean, my general counsel and I like freaked out. We were like, we don't want that to happen. But at the same time, I could totally understand why people that have food allergies want this. They want to be able to check this database. So here's the question. Do we help them with that? Do we allow that to happen? Do we put the sensors in the back of house, and like make sure all the restaurants have access to them, so the restaurants themselves are testing the food instead of just the consumers? I don't know. I don't really know what we're going to do there, but it's an interesting, it's a very interesting topic area. And I think it comes back to, who should consumers trust more, technology or restaurants? And if 20% of the time the restaurants are wrong, what else is there? They have to trust the technology. To the right are some other options out there that are coming. The one I think in the bottom left on that right side is a light scanner. Those don't work. Those don't work at all. But like they're trying to put them on the consumer market and sell them. So there's a lot of different ones. But the way the NEMO works basically is you open up a little. It's only about this big, by the way. It's not that big. You open up a little slot in the back. You put some of the food inside, and you close it and click run, and it runs, and it comes back with like a happy face or a sad face. So it's pretty easy to figure out. So I don't know. If you guys have some ideas about that, please tell me afterward, because I'd love to hear from you. This is me on that panel. I just spoke at South by Southwest Interactive this past week about restaurants and dining. When it comes to restaurant data, I mean, a few years ago, we really started seeing restaurants use data in more creative ways and gather data in more creative ways. So not just dropping business cards and fish bowls or something like that, but using apps and the Tableside technology to really capture information from people. What they're doing now with that data is they're not just capturing it and sending out like nice newsletters, they're combining it with other data sources. So there are sources of data out there that you can buy that basically say, you know, this guy, George, he subscribes to Golf Digest and takes a vacation in Florida every year. Well, that's valuable information if you're thinking about marketing to George. Maybe you have a restaurant opening in Florida where he likes to go vacation and it happens to be on the golf course. Like, that would be very relevant for him. So we're seeing restaurants be a little smarter about their data and not just send out emails, but really think about their marketing efforts in a way that makes a lot of sense. So you're going to see a lot more return on investment that way. This is Amazon Echo, the Alexa. I am waiting for Amazon to create the operator version of this. It's coming, so we'll see something like that. But the way it works, how many guys have you seen Alexa? Okay, so you basically know what it is. It's like a little device like this, like that big, and you can talk to her and say, Alexa, order me a pizza, Domino's. Don't give me a guilt trip. Like, just get it to me. But you can see it being a use case for commercial kitchens, because if you need something stat and you're in the middle of service, like, say to Alexa, like, I need this, and she will order it for you and probably have an on-demand service bring it to you. Some other technologies that I'm seeing in the sort of data area, obviously online ordering, nutrition info. So IoT in the kitchen. I think it takes an average of 10 years for a restaurant to buy a new commercial device for the back of their kitchen. So like a new stove, you're not going to buy every year. It's going to be like once every 10 years on average. So the movement of smart devices in the back of house is slow, and for good reason. I mean, I think restaurants have been burned before about technology and don't want to adapt, but I think they want to, So IoT in the back, what you're going to see, what already exists right now actually kind of goes back to the sensors I was talking about. There are little tiny sensors like this big that you can stick into your walk-in, and it takes a temperature and humidity reading every hour like you're supposed to, but it stores it in a database. So if you ever get audited by the health department, you can just be like, yo, sensor, pull up that data, and it'll have it right there for you. I've also seen them use the exact same sensors. I've seen vendors use those sensors where they toss them in boxes that they're delivering to restaurants, and they can track location, humidity, temperature, so they know if their delivery drivers, if the truck's running too hot or something like that. The other cool thing is we're seeing smart walk-in, smart air conditioning units that can talk to your device. So a chef can just have this in his pocket, and if your walk-in goes down in the middle of the night, you can get an alert, go into the restaurant, save the food, basically, before you spoil everything and then you can't have service the next day. But again, this is a few years out. I hope to start seeing this in 5 years, but it's gonna take some time. Okay, my latest favorite topic, second favorite topic, on-demand delivery. This stuff is so big and it is not going anywhere. I'm almost tired of talking about it because it's just been on the top of mind for a lot of restaurants for some time. We've basically divided the on-demand companies into what we call traditional and what we call disruptive. Traditional is Grubhub, Delivery.com, Uber Eats. Grubhub owns Seamless as well, so like that. But basically they work with restaurants first. So they go to the restaurant and they say, restaurant, we would like to deliver your food. And the restaurant says yes or no, or you can deliver this selected menu, but it starts with a relationship. The disruptive companies, DoorDash, Postmates, Caviar, Favor, Zomato, Caviar is a traditional. Favor, Zomato, Postmates, DoorDash. They all are the disruptive model. So their go-to-market strategy is they go to Seattle and they take a look at the most searched restaurants on Google, they scrape the menu data, they scrape the logo, and they put it on the app. And then your restaurant food is being delivered without you knowing about it. And that usually lasts for about 1 to 2 weeks, and then Postmates or DoorDash will come knocking to the restaurant and say, this has been the results of having your food delivered on our platform for the past week or two. Would you like to continue to work with us? And you have a few options. You can say no, and then they might take your stuff down. It's a lawsuit. There's 2 lawsuits right now about that. Or you can say, yes, that's fine, and you can just stay with them like you are. Or you can say, yes, let's work together, and then you give them extra money to give you top listing, or like the $1.99 delivery fee, or something like that. I think these services are really interesting. There have been some really great case studies, say with Let Us Entertain You and Pizza Rev down in California, where people are making some really good money off of using this service. But there are some issues. I mean, the obvious one is, use of intellectual property without permission. That's a pretty big one. And there's actually 2 lawsuits going on right now. So Legal Seafoods and In-N-Out Burger are suing DoorDash right now for that exact same thing. I think food safety is another concern. They are delivering things that probably don't need to be delivered. If I were a restaurateur, I would not allow French fries to be delivered because that's gross. They're going to get sweaty, and no one wants that. And there's some other thing. Oh, there's this other one. So there's this pizza restaurant out of Minneapolis, and they hire only alternative looking people. So they have piercings and weird colored hair and tattoos, and that's awesome. So they work in their stores. They hire delivery drivers that are the exact same sort of look. So when the delivery driver comes to, your home, you're kind of getting that extension of the brand experience at your door. And so when you have like another service like this on-demand service, they interrupt that brand experience. And that's something to consider, especially if you've invested in delivery trucks, delivery sleeves, delivery drivers, you're paying insurance for these people. What do you do then when 20%, 25%, 50% of your business is now going to on-demand people? So it's a question. We don't know the answer yet. Another thing that's going on right now, which I think is really fascinating, is vendor management and on-demand inventory for back-of-house managers in restaurants. So no longer do you have to have spreadsheets, fax orders, call orders, keep the pen and paper by the walk-in. You can do it through an app. Blue Cart, they got started a little while ago based out of DC. They were originally called Improvonia, but they recently switched their name. They're raising a lot of money. They're based out of California now. Sorcery, they came on the scene first, but we're a little slow to get started, but they're doing the same thing. Compete, which I haven't met with them, but they're doing the same thing too. It's interesting stuff. We don't hear about it enough in the news, I feel like, because I think it's not sexy, but I mean, for restaurateurs, it's super sexy. Beacons, yay, and augmented reality. So augmented reality, real quick, very different from virtual reality. Augmented reality is they help the current reality that you're existing in. So they push information to you. Virtual reality is a completely different environment. That's where you put on the Oculus Rift goggles and you just go off into Neverland, basically. A lot of restaurants, not just the large chains, but independents as well, are experimenting with beacons and having some really good results. So beacons are like, that's an Estimote beacon, but they come even smaller. You can get stickers that are really thin that like stick on a wall somewhere. I'm sure there's some around here. But basically they communicate to your phone using Bluetooth Low Energy, BLE technology. You have to have downloaded the app so that it communicates to your phone. So for example, let's take Outback Steakhouse, for example. I have downloaded the Outback Steakhouse app. It knows my preferences. I wanted a reservation. Not that that's ever a problem in Outback, but you know, if you want to get a reservation. I walk into the store. I'm 10 minutes early. The app, well, once I've crossed the threshold, the beacon picks up that I've entered the store, sends a notification to me via the app that says, thanks for getting here, Anna. It looks like you're 10 minutes early. Would you like your regular glass of wine? Yes. Are your children with you? Would you like to order their kids' meals? No. You know, and then you just go about your business. But that's what I mean by augmented reality. They push things to you that might be useful to your guests. The really good thing about this versus RFID, which is a different form of low energy communication, is that Bluetooth Low Energy uses an app to communicate. So chances are people have downloaded your app, given permission, authenticated, so you know exactly who they are whenever they come in the store. So it's not just random blasts of information. It's actually really useful. I'm going to close this little thing. Let's see here. Next one. Okay, a little more stuff on beacons and augmented reality. Through analytics on the augmented reality, you can choose or find out what the busiest time for restaurants are, the number of customers that the app serves, what was ordered, what the average wait times are. On productivity, beyond reporting on analytics, chef could actually communicate with staff, and customers could alert their server that they need them to come back to the table. So it depends on what you have in your app and what you want, basically. So with I think the Panera Bread app, you're able to order certain stores. You can order through the app for it to come directly to your table, so you don't have to get up again. So that's use of Beacon technology as well. Surveys, that's pretty self-explanatory. Information. So one of the cool uses of info is with beacons, you can tell a person who's on their way how busy the restaurant is already. So you can kind of tell them what their wait time is going to be like ahead of time. Oh, the BJ's app is really good example for this. So if you haven't downloaded that one, I would download it and just check it out, BJ's Restaurants. Other information, you can send them information as they leave the restaurant. So as they're going, thank you, come back, see you again real soon. You can also notify them of upcoming events if you wanted to. Order ahead, I mentioned this sort of in the Outback Steakhouse example, but especially for diners with children, this is a really big thing. So people can use the app to order their kids' meals ahead of time or order an appetizer ahead of time. I know for me, when I host business dinners, I usually order like one of every appetizer, and it would be nice to have that hit the table as soon as we sit down to kind of speed things along. You can also, so this is another thing, you can install a long-range beacon so that when people are crossing a certain threshold, they know, like, so for Starbucks, for example, if I get within like 500 feet of the restaurant, they know that I'm coming in, and so they'll know when to fire the drink. So that's another use of beacons. And then custom menus and pricing. This is a specific, I got excited, sorry. Custom menus and pricing. You can give menu items for loyal guests. So if you have a loyal customer who's coming in all the time, I don't advocate discounting for restaurants. I think that that's a bad move. There are other ways to reward people, and maybe we invented this new drink, do you want to try it? But you're still gonna pay for it. That sort of thing. I think that discounting, it's just, if they're there, they're gonna pay for it anyway, you don't need to discount it. Okay, now this is my #1 favorite topic lately. Robots and automation. It's coming. I think someone else talked about minimum wage before, so I don't think I need to bring it up. But ever since that started becoming a hot topic, automation and robotics has become an equally hot topic, and you can kind of understand the correlation there. This is in Japan, of course. All the cool robotics stuff happens in Japan. There's this restaurant in San Francisco called Itza. Lex, have you been there yet? You should go. I went there recently and I did a periscope of my time there, and I can give you guys the link afterwards so you can see it. But basically, you don't encounter a human at all. You go up to a little kiosk. Well, there's digital menu boards all over the place, so you can see like what's going on. You go up to a kiosk, you put in your order, and then you wait, and you have like another menu board as soon as you get in that you can see your name and sort of your progress in line, and it also tells you what cubby number your food is going to appear, and it's all quinoa bowls, which is fine, whatever. I like meat, but quinoa is fine. And so when it tells you you're ready, you look on this wall, and it's like a wall of cubes. Some are taller, some are shorter. And the cool thing is the glass that's on this display animates, and so it has your name, and it has like quinoa bowl is ready, and bloop. And then you touch it twice or something, and it just like magically opens up. You never see anybody. Everyone is behind the curtain basically making the food, and the food's good. I mean, it's well prepared. The people are back there having a great time, I guess. I have no idea. I did see one person in front of house, and he was basically there to guide people through the process if they had any questions. But that's going to go away eventually too, as people become more and more comfortable, like we said earlier, with using these technologies. So in addition to the ordering kiosk, which we're seeing a lot, there's some other bots on the way. There's a salad making robot that I just saw demoed last week. It's awesome. I'm looking for some restaurants who want to prototype it they're looking for Bay Area restaurants though, in Q3, but that'll probably be like a back of house thing for now. Eventually though, it'll sit next to the Coca-Cola Freestyle machine in their stores. That's where it's going. It's pretty cool. It kind of rocks a lot though when it's distributing like the ingredients, so it's a little disturbing to watch. It's not very elegant yet. There's also delivery bots like this in the United States now. They're testing right now. Again, if there are any restaurants who want to test it, let me know. they're basically changing the seating pattern in restaurants so that these little bots can like wander through. And basically all they're doing is delivering drinks. They're not really intelligent robots. They're doing what we say to do. And then there's also a dishwashing robot that's also in prototype phase right now that I haven't seen work correctly yet, but I'm sure it'll get there eventually. But that's just a snippet of robots that are kind of on the way. At the NRA, we know that this is coming, but the way I like to look at it is robots and automation is really just going to free up human capital to do what humans do best, and that is to give people a better service. So are they replacing employees? Yeah, kinda, but it'd be better. I mean, I'd much rather interact with a human who's going to like remember my name or know what I ordered before. And if they have some sort of automated machine in the back that frees them up to be able to do that, why not? Okay, so real quick, I'll go through some NRA initiatives that we're working on to try to make these things better. The first is, that's me inside the Telepresence Robot right there. It's basically like an iPad on wheels. And they're available now. A lot of places use them, not restaurants yet, but you can imagine a maitre d' being replaced by this Telepresence Robot, where your maitre d' is now sitting at like some sort of computer screen controlling the robot while he's got other screens up that tell you information about the guests that he's interacting with. So through facial recognition, he'll pick up who it is. We'll see all about them. Anyway, but the Innovation Summit happens in the fall. This year, I'm very excited to say, it's going to be in Austin, Texas, my hometown, September 13th, 14th, and 15th. It's bigger and badder and better than ever. We've combined with the marketing executive group completely. So all of marketing and all of IT and supply chain will be included in this conference. We're going to talk about robotics, I'm sure, employment and hiring, which is another big issue that I didn't really touch on today, supply chain and cybersecurity, which I promise I will make it as sexy as possible, but it's still going to be dry, but you got to take your medicine. The tech tour. This is like a really cool project. Basically, we take 35 to 40 restaurant C-level executives to Silicon Valley every year, and we put them on a bus, and we take them to visit different companies. We've visited Google, Facebook, Twitter, Pandora, Yelp, Visa, PayPal, and another large company that is named after a fruit in Silicon Valley. Y'all get it? All right, thanks. Anyway, if you want to come, let me know. And then this other thing that I do is called Startup Alley at the NRA Show. So the NRA Show, as you know, is in Chicago every year in May. We've identified 14 technology startups. We started it last year. It's happening again this year. Sorcery, who I mentioned before, is actually going to be part of Startup Alley this year. So you can take a look at different startups and what they're doing as well. That list, I think, is already online at the show website. If you go to restaurant.org/show, you can see who those tech startups are. This is just a picture from it last year. But it's in the Lakeside Center, if you know where that is. And then there's more to come. I've written project plans for hackathons, demo days, traveling tech tours, which, Lex, I want to talk to you about, because we're going to prototype it in Chicago this July. And then we're basically writing a plan for other state restaurant associations to make this happen in their states. We've got all the connections. Y'all have got all the restaurants. Like, we just want to make this happen. And then pitch competitions. So McDonald's has actually been doing a lot of pitch competitions lately. I don't know why. I don't know why. Like, I like the idea of them doing it, but I don't think they're actually using the technology for anything. I think they're just gobbling things up. But it's interesting to see a large restaurant brand be interested in what startups are doing and how to use technology in that way. So we'll probably be doing some more of that as well. Don't get me wrong, I love McDonald's. They're a very loyal member. Questions? That was a lot. I got more, but I'll stop for now. Does anyone have any questions, or you want clarification on something? No? All right, great. Then I did my job. What? EATSA. E-A-T-S-A. EATSA. Yes, ma'am. Oh.
Very small, like bistros.
I'm sorry.
Like how important is this technology movement to, say, our restaurant? We see 40 people. You know, we're in a very small. We're actually in a neighborhood. We're not even on the main road.
Yeah.
And we've made it almost 4 years. So I'm not quite sure, you know, kind of where we want to invest our money in, what types of technology would help us move farther.
Yeah. Do you offer Wi-Fi?
We do, but you do have to have a password.
That's okay. I mean, but you know, then it's protected at least. You could do that. I mean, that's one way. I mean, how are you gathering data right now on your customers?
We ask them to give them.
Can you hold it a little closer?
We ask them to give us their information, and they're our neighbors, so they usually do. We do the standard newsletter. We have Facebook website. We have an Instagram account. Kind of do those basic things.
Yeah. Are you seeing an ROI on your Facebook?
No, because we don't do Facebook ads.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a way to. I'll tell you later how to trick Facebook into letting it seem like a native ad or a native post. There's a formula to use for that. But I mean, if you want to use technology more in your restaurant, I mean, I guess you have to decide like to what end. Like, do you want your newsletters to be more effective? Are you seeing enough repeat visits? Do you want it to be? Do you want to stop at your restaurant to be more natural for your guests?
Yeah.
Like if they're not coming back, like if they're only coming back once a month, like try and get them back twice a month. Even just that extra visit could really make a difference. And I've seen that through better data usage in newsletter marketing, you can get those repeat visits back in because you just stay top of mind. Now you don't need to bombard them, but if you have good, clean data on your consumers, that might be a good first step.
Okay. Yeah, because we use like Constant Contact, and
they're
we
great.
just kind of send out newsletters and try to do it once a week, but we don't want to bombard them too much because then they're just going to unsubscribe.
Yeah, but I mean, you can create different newsletters based on interests. I mean, you can even send like through gender, different gender newsletters. Don't mess that up though, because people get really mad if you send them like the wrong version.
Okay.
But yeah, could you pass it down? It's so hard to hear up here. So yeah.
Yeah, I probably don't need one. So are there some type of clearinghouse or some type of resources for collaborating on innovation to create some new products or bringing new technology? Particularly the whole thing with allergens and tracking stuff, keeping track of all that. There's got to be big databases in somewhere that you could.
So there's not. There needs to be. But that's the kind of the question is like, what do we need to do to make it easier for those companies are not going away. So what should we do as restaurants to make that easier for them and easier for our guests? So if you want to talk about what we could do together, that'd be great. I mean, really that's how it starts is these technologists that I work with, even at these big firms, they are fascinated. Whenever I take them on the tech tour and they sit around in one room basically and talk about restaurant tech needs versus what the technologists are creating, like they eat it up. They want to have those kinds of relationships. And really that's how you do it. That's how we create good tech for restaurants is collaborating with them. So yeah, there's plenty of possibilities. Let's talk. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'd like to talk specifically about the on-demand, some of the things that you've seen.
Yeah.
Now, I see it makes perfect sense, like for stadiums, if you're sitting in seat. I know Levi stadiums, we have something like that. So, of course, there's an extra charge for, taking part of that. Have you gotten much feedback across the industry for in-seat type deliveries?
In-seat, it makes so much sense. Like, I mean, there's not been really an issue there because, like, Centerplate, for example, they do a lot of the in-seat delivery sort of stuff, and people are so willing to pay for it. Like, so it's not really an issue right now, at least, because Centerplate controls both the ordering, the delivery, and the kind of food that they deliver. They don't offer like a full menu, in-seat because they know it won't travel well. But since they're creating all the standards and they're creating all the rules, they kind of hold all the keys. There's not really a controversy there.
Sometimes it's a bonus thing if you're part of a program that you're going to have drinks. You're part of a drink program or something. That you get that as an added bonus. You find it's happening at other event centers other than what?
Well, mainly just sporting centers. I mean, I see it a lot with. I'm a DC United fan, and we actually have that in DC as well, which is really weird because we've got the crappiest stadium I've ever seen in my life. But there is in-seat ordering there. But I mainly only see it in sporting events and, well, concert venues too. So big concert halls.
Some sports type events like soccer.
Yeah.
They don't get off at like.
Yeah, I don't
doing some
leave my
business
seat.
over in Europe. So they're used to just going down, sitting down, not
Yeah.
getting up and looking at for a convention.
Yeah,
So-
well, and like side note, soccer actually is really interesting. Soccer has if you guys wanted to partner with anyone, soccer is the right sport to do it because it's a family event. Most people go as families, and it's actually women who are controlling most of those dollars because they're the ones controlling family outings. It's just a side note. Soccer's a good spot. Soccer. But I mean, I know this is Seattle Sounders area, and I'm a United fan, so. Any other questions? All right, cool. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. And come back tomorrow and see me and Doug talk about some more tech. Thank you.